would the church say? What would the church say about the way we continually living? Our of the world decisions, how we weaponize religion. What would they say if you told them you just needed an ear to listen? What would they say about today's Christian? What would the church say? What would the church say? Most importantly, what would Jesus say? Most importantly, what would Jesus say?
Hey, family, it's your girl Valika B with the Valika B Project, set apart and chosen. And also, what would the church say? I'm excited. Let me transfer my camera. Here we go. That's the right camera. I'm excited. We have a special guest, and I need you guys to really support this special guest because I listened to his music all the way through, and it's an amazing project. But we have Mr. Jason McGee in the building. Mr. Jason McGee, what's going on?
Yo, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. I'm excited to finally interview you. I follow you for years, and I love how you roll, how you move. But just to have you in the presence with me, it's like I'm Michael Jackson superstar status right now.
I'll take it. I mean, come on. Well, thank you very much.
No problem. You have an amazing project. I was telling Jason earlier, another tomorrow is Jason McGee and the choir. And I was telling you earlier that this particular project is a non-skip project. You would have to literally, I'm trying to rush through it and listen to it, and I'm like, no, I can't skip this because it sounds pretty good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We wanted to
Absolutely.
create a project that everybody could rock with. You know what I mean? I don't care how churchy you are. I don't care if you're a new Christian, an old Christian, a non-Christian.
Right.
We wanted to create a project that everybody could find themselves in, hear themselves in, tell their stories in, and just listen to it. I listened to it today while I was in the gym. I was like, let me just play it. You know what I mean? Like, I know these songs, but I was like, let me
Right.
just play this. I was like, yo, this album ain't bad, you know?
Right.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Let me just ask you, because this the choir. So where did the choir background come from?
The
Which
choir, the
your
choir.
background in choir to have a choir.
Oh yeah. So I started directing choirs when I was 14.
Okay.
My mother was my very first choir director, so I used to study her, and we had choir albums and videos, VHSs.
Mhm.
We had them playing in the house. That was what I watched. I used to prefer that over movies. And so I just kind of always had it in my back pocket and started directing, and then all of a sudden we started working professionally in the field, probably like around 2004. And I
Mhm.
started being asked to assemble choirs for mainstream artists and award shows and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, I may as well start a choir too. So in 2015, I started the choir. And just resume has been pretty stacked, you know what I mean, between gospel and mainstream. And it just seemed that, like, when we started it, there was a need for it, especially like in Los Angeles in the production space. And so just, kind of a wide range of things between gospel and mainstream.
Right. And that's what I was about to say because it's not your project is really not that traditional. When you think about gospel, it's not that traditional. And it was okay for you to step outside of a traditional box. And I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my camera. Hold on.
It's okay.
To step outside of that traditional box. So, how were you comfortable stepping outside of the box and not feeling like you were going to be judged by our gospel community?
It's so funny. There's that's a couple answers actually.
Okay.
Um, a very good friend of mine named David Robinson. Uh, Shout out to him. He did a really good job of reminding me that I wasn't a gospel artist
Okay.
necessarily, that I was an artist, and I was
Mhm.
an artist who releases gospel music.
Right.
And that really puts things in perspective because it allows me to be whomever I am, and it doesn't put me in a box that only sounds one way. it
Hmm.
says that whomever I am, I can release the sound that is true to me.
Hmm.
And so we work in so many mainstream spaces that it didn't feel right to isolate that audience with the message from God by just only sticking to a sound that only one group could understand. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It was like we were in order to cater to one group, it's now we're isolating the other group, and it seems as though the other group needs to hear about God a little bit more than the group who already knows him. So that already lends itself to me not being overly traditional, and then I'm just not, and I
Right.
had to I had to be honest with
Hmm.
myself and my sound and my experience and just all the things we've done. I had to be honest with that and be like, nah, this is just like my sound isn't that sound. My sound is this, and whomever likes it will, whomever
Hmm.
doesn't won't,
Right.
and that's with
Right.
anything.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
That's
thank
good.
you.
So I am looking and I see that you're definitely a fan of Kurt Franklin, the Rebirth album and Donald Lawrence and Tri-City final album. How does that work? How like do you gleam off those albums or tell me a little bit about that?
I think being a church kid growing up, you have this
Mhm.
like weird Rolodex and this filing cabinet in your head of
Mhm.
all the greatest gospel albums to ever exist. Like
Mhm.
it is the Rebirth album with Kirk Franklin. It is the final. It is the finale album with Donald Lawrence. But it's also, it's Pages of Life with Fred Hammond, and it's
Yes.
anything by Richard Smallwood, and
Yes.
it's all the early stuff by the Tommies, and of course, and my guy Ricky Dillard, Orlando Draper, and all these other. All right, so they're all sitting there somewhere, right?
Right.
But for this album, I wanted to have messaging and tell
Mhm.
stories like Kirk Franklin. I
Okay.
wanted to I wanted to have a real message, and but of course, you cannot get away from the Donald Lawrence sound
Right.
and
Absolutely.
the way those voices arc and tell stories vocally, while Kirk tells a lot of stories with lyrics. And so you put the two together, and I think you have the inspiration behind Another Tomorrow.
Awesome, awesome. So as I was reading your the EPK, and I do see on here that there was a time when I guess everything was going on with this particular project. You were dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's
how
been
did
a
you push through that?
this album.
Ooh, okay.
Truth be told, it's called Another Tomorrow because there were so many times I didn't think I'd see one.
Yeah,
And if I'm honest, there was a few times I didn't want to see one.
yeah,
I think I had given up at one point. And depression, unfortunately, has always, not always, but I would say maybe dating back to '06 is when I really started experiencing this heavy weight of depression. And I didn't have verbiage. And
got you.
so when I started writing this album, without even knowing I was writing it, I was really just writing in my journal. And
Hmm.
then God would wake me up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning singing these melodies of journal entries of
Okay,
things that I wanted to feel, things that I was saying. And I didn't know what was going on. I just was more or less singing and putting these things in voice notes. And when it was time to write this album, without knowing it, we had like a full album in my voice notes, of
okay.
things that like God was speaking through me, and I didn't realize they were healing me at the same time, and they were giving me verbiage and things to say, and therefore healing my choir members. And I pray that it heals everybody who gets an opportunity to listen to it.
Awesome. So it's a form of therapy too, right?
It is. It is.
Yep. Mhm.
It's me being as honest and transparent and vulnerable as
Need it.
possible.
We need
It
it. We need
is.
it.
I
For the
think so
people
too.
going through, yeah. So appreciate that you was able to place this in the music. So thank you so much for that as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
I'm also seeing on this particular album, Another Tomorrow, you have some special features.
Oh yeah.
Can we talk about your feature, your choir? Let's talk a little bit about them.
Yes, of course. I mean, I'll talk about my choir first.
Okay.
So often people record these albums and they bring in everybody else. And I was like, I don't want to do that this time. I really wanted to feature the people who've been rocking with me. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I wanted to give them a platform. These people can sing.
They
And
can.
they can sing. Like they can really sing,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they don't necessarily have a name yet,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I hear so many amazing gospel albums, and it's full of, and no disrespect to like other artists or whatever, but I think so often we forget who's right in our back pocket. You know what I mean? They're
Facts.
right there. They're showing up to rehearsals, and then we go out and we can't sing these songs because the name didn't come and whatever. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that this time. I'm giving my people a place to a platform to stand on.
Facts.
But of course, you still gotta have Daryl Walls on your album.
Come on, Darren
You
Walls.
gotta have
Yeah.
Daryl. Like
You got to have Darren Walls.
the
Yep.
guy is like he's a magician vocally. Like they're like, what? How do you do that?
He is. He is.
So when I wrote the song Freedom, I was like, I was like, there's only one voice that I hear on this song, and I called Daryl. I was like, hey man, would you be willing to come in? He was like, bro, anything, let's do it. He heard the song, he's like, I love it, let's go. And so Daryl Walls and the incredible Nikki Potts from the Kirk Hart Singers.
Mm.
She's an LA native, and she's that girl.
Mhm.
And I was like, I gotta have Nikki on my album. And then the opening song from Jerome Wheeler. He's a gentleman that was a worship leader at Lighthouse in Houston. And he used to be in the choir. And I was like, I gotta have Jerome on here too. So those are my three non-choir features, but everybody else that you're gonna hear, including my singles, they're right there in the choir.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I'm also seeing that let this slide a little bit. NAACP and Stella Award nominated gospel powerhouse. Like seriously, you think I'm playing when I say this is like the Michael Jackson to me? Like this I'm like, if you ever when David said, "Hey, can we get absolutely yes, come on the platform."
Well, thank
Like
you.
you are really big in my head, like for real. Like you're
Thank
really big,
you.
like for real. You're yes,
That honestly means a lot to me because you never know. You're just doing what you do, right? You never know how it's affecting people. So
yeah.
thank you for
No,
that.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm also seeing that you have been on stage with people like Madonna, John Legend, Mary, Jelly Roll, Nicki Minaj. Like these are like different. David Foster. These are like different. They're not in this box. Like they're not in this box. Like
Right.
thank you for coming out the box a little bit. How does that feel to you though to just grace the stage with these people?
um, Amazing,
Hmm.
also humbling though. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like
Mhm.
I think it's one of those things that I to go overly spiritual.
Yeah.
I feel like when God wants to have himself represented in the room, I'm always grateful that he keeps choosing me.
It's good. Good.
When he's like, I need to show up in these rooms that I'm typically not invited in. I'm gonna send Jason to be my representation. And the fact that he trusts me like that to go in those spaces and not lose my identity, is it's always humbling. It's always a little mind blowing. But it is work. It is work, and
It is work.
I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful. Like it's funny that people always tell. My mom always says it. She's like, "You're just not in a box." I don't really know what that means necessarily. I'm just really doing what I'm supposed to do. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like it's never been like I'm not gonna be in the box. I'm not gonna. I've never really had that attitude towards it. I think I just always been like there was a need over here, and it just felt right to fill it. It felt like God was using me to fill it, and I just said yes. And I guess that puts me outside of a box. And
yeah.
okay, then I guess
Mm,
I'll be outside the box.
yeah. I think it's more being comfortable in your skin
Yeah,
and you're not so worried about, okay, I'm gonna do something different than what the norm or the expectation is.
yeah,
So I can just flow. And it's great that you can be creative like that. And you
yeah,
don't have to say, you know what, I can't do this because they may think a certain way. So that's when
right.
I think outside the box, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and I think I've had the privilege of being in Los Angeles. And I
Yes.
think I think LA, because we don't have a heavy gospel market here. We don't have
Yeah.
gospel radio here. We don't
Yeah.
have LA is not the foundation of LA is not church. And
Mhm.
so I think if I were in like the Bible Belt and places like that, my sound may be a little bit different. I might feel the pressure to cater to a certain sound. But I think being in LA, church here, people go to church here on their way to brunch.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? They stop by
Mhm.
the church real quick and hear the
Mhm.
word and get all
Mhm.
the feels and the goosebumps, and then they go to brunch. And
Mhm.
so I think that has helped me kind of determine what sound they needed to hear. If they're going to stop in for 10 minutes, well, what are they going to hear for 10 minutes? And I
Yes.
think that's been really important to me to kind of like give them Jesus as well.
Yes. That's good. That's good. Who are some of your dream collaborations that you haven't worked with before?
Ooh, that's good. Uh, for gospel, honestly, Kirk. I mean,
Okay.
I've worked with Kirk as like I was the director, the choir director of Maverick City, and I did the Kingdom tour with Kirk. And so I've worked with Kirk in that regard, but I've never collabed with Kirk. My singers have actually been in the studio with him for other things, but I've actually personally never collabed with him. Um, who? That's a good. Honestly, Karen Clark.
Yeah.
Like, don't threaten me with a good time putting Karen Clark on one
Yes.
of my songs, please. Like,
Yes.
I would
That's
love to collab with Karen. Um, I would love to collab with like Anthony Brown because like the guy is just a genius to me.
is.
Unfortunately, Richard Small was no longer with us, but that would have been like I would have stopped trains in order to collab with that man.
Right.
My lord. But I think I'm not sure if there's a ton. I mean, I guess I've just named a ton of people, but I've been blessed to collab with quite a few people in the space. And so I think I just became a Samara Joy fan.
Oh yeah,
Um,
she's good. Yes.
yes, and I think doing a song with her would be incredible. Thanks to my dear friend once again, Mr. David. So,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, but you just gated across that you worked with Mav City before. So let's talk about sold out arenas.
I
Like,
mean,
come, like, bruh, how did that
yeah,
feel to be in that space for
that was act.
gospel? I mean, not gospel, but just Christian music. Period. Like that's crazy.
Yes, given that I'm older than all of them, I think I understood the magnitude of what we were doing a little bit more than they did sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, do y'all realize this don't happen? Like, but you know, they 5 years old, so they don't know. But and shout out to them. I love them all very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was you know, it's funny we name all these mainstream artists that I worked with, and that was really cool, you know what I mean? But truth be told, that Maverick City run was I used to like kind of like be like I should pinch myself because this is you know, they let me I actually founded and started the Maverick City Gospel Choir.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like I went to them. I got hired from them in 2021, and just to kind of like be on the tour and direct and put these little choirs together every day. And I was like, nah, let me build you a choir.
That's
So
good.
I went on tour before they went on tour, and actually built them a 685 voice choir across the country. And so that was one of those things I was like, this is easily the coolest thing I think I've ever done. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think I could do it, and I did it, and had a full staff under us, and like had this whole infrastructure built in 2 weeks. And it was like,
Wow.
let's go. And so that was incredible. It
That
was
was
incredible.
genius. Yeah, that was genius. That was
Thank
genius.
you.
That was
Thank
genius.
you.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to wrap. So
Okay.
again, for the ones who have not purchased, we're gonna say purchase this album.
Purchase.
Like this album is amazing. Like for real. I don't get excited. I get excited about things, but not all the time. But this is good. This is really good. Like
Thank
seriously,
you.
I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm trying to rush because I did hear one or two of the songs, but as I'm going through, I'm like, wait, what am I hearing? Like the beat and everything. It was
Uh-huh.
it's so amazing. So
Thank
kudos
you.
to you. Is
Thank
there
you.
any closing that you would like to speak on or like to bring awareness to before we close out?
Before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to Marcus Hodge,
Okay.
super producer Marcus Hodge, and one of my best friends. He created all the sounds. He and Delvin Brumfield, they created all the sounds you're hearing on this album. So I wrote the lyrics, but they wrote all that music, and they took. We write backwards. I write lyrics first, lyrics and
Okay.
melodies first, and then they put music. But they Marcus took it to heart what I was trying to say, and he really created a beautiful backdrop to what I wanted to say. I think the thing that I want to address is like mental health. That's
Yeah.
like the full backdrop to this entire project,
Okay.
and really tell people like if you're suffering, say something. That is really
Okay.
important.
That's
Say
good.
something. You don't have to suffer in silence, and there is just some things that you may not be able to pray away.
Thanks.
And
Thanks.
sometimes you got to open your mouth. You got to just be honest and say, "I'm not okay today." And this entire album is an opportunity for people to say, I'm not okay. I will be okay. But today
Mhm.
I'm not okay. And it's okay to have verbiage to that. It's okay to say something. It's okay to reach out. Definitely find a friend that's going to listen to you. Grab a therapist. You know, like take some practical practical strides to being better. And when you combine that with prayer and belief, you will see much better days. And it's okay.
Awesome. Awesome. I do appreciate that. And thank you so much for being so honest in everything
Thank
about
you.
your depression and all that. A lot of, especially men, do not like to speak on it. So I really do appreciate it. Cause like again, like I said, a lot of they hold on to this pain and this silence forever.
Yeah.
Yep. So I
Yep. And
appreciate
you just shouldn't, because it's going to come out.
it.
It's just, where it releases, it might not always be like the best thing. So yeah, definitely say something.
Awesome. Let everybody know how they can follow you and where they can purchase purchase this music.
Please follow me on all things social media. I am Jason McGee, McGee, no H. I am Jason McGee, and you can follow my choir page as well, J McGee and Choir. Yeah, and you can purchase the album on Apple Music.
Apple Music. Let me drop this graphic one more time in case
Yes.
this is the graphic. This is what we're gonna look for when you go to
Yes.
these streaming platforms.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
make
ma'am.
sure you support this project. Jason, stay on with me, but thank you so much for honoring the presence here. Like for real. I appreciate you so
Thank you
much.
for having me. Seriously, thank you.
No problem. Thank you guys for tuning in to What Would the Church Say, the Valika B Project. Until next time, we will see you later. Hold on.
Well, that concludes this episode of What Would the Church Say? With your host, Valika B. Until next time, be blessed.